There we go. Aaron, how's it going? We're live.
Good, how you doing?
Doing good. How was your weekend?
I was good. It was nice and quiet. Finally tied down our Christmas plans for the week, so it's good to go into the week with a plan, I guess you could say. But it was nice. It was good. How about yours?
It's good. Good. Lots of hockey. Got a lot of hockey in before the Christmas break now, so we'll be able to sit back and relax and not have to worry about much for the next, I don't know, couple weeks. So that's good. Slow it
Yeah,
down a little.
that's always nice.
Yeah. So, dive right in. All right.
Yeah,
So, an inside page. Leaders are the ones who run headfirst into the unknown. They rush toward the danger. They put their own interest aside to protect us or to pull us into the future. Leaders would sooner sacrifice what is theirs to save what is ours, and they would never sacrifice what is ours to save what is theirs. This is what it means to be a leader. It means they choose to go first into danger, head first toward the unknown. And when we feel sure they will keep us safe, we will march behind them and work tirelessly to see their visions come to life and proudly call ourselves their followers. So, destructive abundance.
yeah. I think this really gets into some of the real meat and potatoes, if you will, of good examples of leadership, what to do's and what not to do's. So the really, really good examples in this one. This is a good chapter. Definitely a really good chapter. Leadership lesson number one: so goes the culture, so goes the company. Very important statement right there. I think we've talked many, many times over about culture and how important it is, and I think that this chapter kind of encapsulates that whole entire concept. So on slide four, the title there we say, how we feel about our jobs reflects the culture, and I think it's a good way to put it. Are you proud of where you work? Do you hide where you work? Do you go out and tell your friends, hey, I work for such and such company, XYZ Contracting or XYZ Manufacturing, and it's an awesome place to work? Or do you kind of hide that fact, when you're getting bothered by your aunts and uncles or your brothers and sisters? Oh, where are you working now? And you're like, just someplace. I'm just working at that manufacturing facility at the end of town. And when the company hands out swag, do you just wear it for pajamas or do you wear it out proudly? I think that's the simplest way to look at it. Are you proud of where you work? Does it bring you joy? Are you happy about it? It's the same way too if you are on the leadership side and you hand out swag. Do you see the guys gals wearing
Yeah.
those shirts back to work, or do they wear them out? Do you see them at the company cookouts wearing the shirts? Do you see them around town wearing the shirts and the hats? Do they broadcast that signal, or do they keep it hidden?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important metric.
Yeah, that camaraderie feel, right? Everybody's in a, kind of unity, look alike, and yep.
And the first example they give right away, which is a really good one, is this Goldman Sachs example, which Goldman Sachs for the longest time in the 80s and 90s was the gold standard of brokerage firms on Wall Street. I mean, it was to the point where you could have gone to Harvard Business School, got your doctorate degree, and still get turned down by Goldman Sachs. There was just a pedigree about working at Goldman Sachs. But over time, once some of the stock market started to crash a little bit, Goldman Sachs found out that their culture was basically based off a whole bunch of A players and a whole bunch of A player egos, and didn't have a good culture. And all of a sudden, the realization shifted from the team more towards individual performances, and it got to a point where more people were more concerned about the money that they were getting for themselves than they were for the team. Ultimately, Goldman Sachs folded up, and it didn't work out very well. So I think it's a good example. It's a very good example, simply because when we we look at that third point there, performance can go up and down. This is a quote right out of the book, which I thought was a very good one. Performance can go up and down. The strength of the culture is the only thing that we can rely on. That's very good because you can't always be an A player. You know, so Goldman Sachs saw this. So many other companies see this. You can't always be firing on all your cylinders. It's just impossible. And for your company, or if you're in that position of hiring and firing, for you to just go ahead and fire somebody just because they're they're dipping a little bit, it's not the right play. I think that weakens your culture. It strikes fear in the culture. It rattles the cage. I mean, there's a difference. We can't be speaking too far here because there is a difference between underperforming heavily, slacking off, versus just having a dip. And I think that's what it is very, very important as we go through this journey of leadership.
Well, and that's a big deal. And like you said, we don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here because it'll come up later. But there's going to be peaks and valleys in performance. I mean, our Packers can't win every year, right? We regain and we come back. I mean, you're going to have those ups and downs, and you're right. That's where the culture of Goldman Sachs changed quickly, or at least it became apparent very quickly in more lean times where it was about the money and not so much about the rest of the team or keeping the company in a good spot. It was about milking it dry as fast as possible. So yeah, in that leadership role, that ability to see the culture beyond just the number of the day or the number of the week is a big deal. Production numbers or sorry.
Put it into a different perspective where, when that culture is starting to fade, you start to see some of the elder employees start to really tighten down the bootstraps and go back to what they used to do because they're left thinking to themselves, well, what's changed? Let alone the fact it's outside influence that has changed, but what they think is internally something has changed. So they tighten down the bootstraps and try to go back to where they're going. Meanwhile, you have the newer employees, the guys that are first coming in, they're out there looking for the one-hit deals. They're looking for the big deals, and so they're investing so much time and effort in something that's probably not even there. And so what you have is just a lot of disjointed firing. You have guys doing one thing, you have guys doing another thing, and it's just not working. Your team concept is completely blown out of the water, and you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to end up in failure.
Yeah.
Which is going to either lead to your company turning 180 degrees over and starting a new leaf with new management and new employees. Otherwise, it's going to fold up and there's not going to be anything at all. So ultimately, the end game is not very good here at all.
No. Yeah.
Shoot over to slide 5. Title here was the title of the book, Bad Cultures Breed Bad Leaders. And that's very true. I think when you talk about that, you talk about, is your culture accepting of other people's thoughts and ideas, or is it this is the way it's been done for years and years and years, and this is the way it's going to continue to get done because it works? It's like Novocaine. Give it time, it works.
Yep.
Or do you accept other ideas? And they give another good example in this book of an employee that went to work for Citigroup. And through conversations and talking to people, this person instantly realized that they made a ginormous mistake because all employees at Citigroup are very protective of their ideas, and they don't share them for the fear that they're going to be stolen from higher ups or somebody trying to move into a position that they're in to basically outperform. There's no concept of team unity. It's a fight to the end, a death race or race to the top. That's what it is, and that's a bad culture. Great that it's competitive, that you're trying to breed ideas, but if you're breeding bad ideas and people are just stealing, then there's no teamwork there. There's no direction, and that's going to implode on itself in no time.
Yeah, it's just the I'm only looking out for me mentality, and that's a challenge because that's out there no matter what. And I feel that a bad culture will breed that, but that's also a hiring thing, in my opinion, too, right? Like, uh, I push on a long hiring process to be able to weed out what could bring in that kind of a thought process as well, right? Specifically in those managerial spots, right? If you're bringing in leadership positions, understanding their leadership mentality is a big deal during that hiring process, because you don't that gets in there and then it'll fester over time, and you've got an issue on your hands.
Yeah, and I mean, there's great examples here in this book about this person found out that her boss, concerned that her success might threaten his own, um, intentionally left out a key part of a process that she actually shared with him, and he left it out in order to make himself look like it was his idea and not hers. And ultimately, the deal completely blew up because essentially he left out one of the main key points. Ultimately, Citigroup led to major cutbacks. At one point in time, they had issued 52,000 pink slips,
Wow.
about 20% of its workforce, um, simply because they these issues. They're breeding bad leaders and bad, essentially bad people. Um, there's another example here that I think is really good. Stewart recalls late in 2011, a few years after they had their cutbacks of 52,000 pink slips, the company was actually back in the black, and her new boss at Citigroup, a managing director, how she stayed at this company is beyond me. But he arrived to introduce himself, and he told the employees that he was interested in only three things: revenue, net income, and expenses. And then he privately added to her, "If you think I'm going to be your mentor and give you career advice, you're dead wrong."
Wow.
The final sentence in this section: "So goes the leadership, so goes the culture." Very good, lasting sentence. If you're that kind of a person that the only thing that you care about is revenue, income, and expenses, and don't care about the growth and development of your people, you're headed down the wrong path, and that it's not going to end well. It'll be good for a while because you have the bullwhip out, and you're bullwhipping people into submission to believe your way, and you will make revenue, you will make a good profit, but what you're going to see is that morale is going to go down and down and down, and eventually that number, your profits are going to go down, your income's going to go down because people are going to stop caring. That's
and
the end of the line.
yeah, not only that, but it's just a matter of time. People are going to do what they need to do to keep their job at the moment, but they're looking, right? I mean, that you're just all you're doing is you're going to see black. You're going to be just fine until they've located other positions, and then you see the abandoning of ship and all that other stuff. I'm more concerned with the statements of, if you think I'm going to be your mentor, that's another thing coming, because I just think anybody in a leadership position, that's a big deal, right? Because again, my opinion is that if I'm a leader, I don't want to be the one that necessarily shines, right? If all of the people that, that are around me, if I can get them to grow and succeed and shine, that just shows then my ability to grow great people, potential leaders, whatever, and that elevates me at the same time without me having to step over them or step on them to gain that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a
No, I think that's exactly it. I mean, if you're a good leader, then I think your big successes and wins are truly not really known
correct.
Until later on down the line. So you have to have that mentorship role. You have to be a leader. It's not just setting a goal for the year and saying this is how we're going to get there. It's about growing and developing people to create this irreversible machine that can't be shut off. I think that's your ultimate win as a leader. And if you're not working towards that, I mean, what are you working? You're not a leader. You're another mindless drone.
Yeah.
You're just concerned about the numbers.
100%.
So the next slide is really good because it actually ends on a very positive example. And this is a fantastic example of a good culture, and that's a culture of 3M. For those that don't know how Post-it notes got started, it was actually by mistake that an actual chemist inside of 3M was trying to make a glue and mixed it wrong and actually created this low-tack glue. It was a failure. It was an absolute failure. I mean, he looked at himself and he said, I failed. I'm probably going to get fired over this. But meanwhile, his supervisor was having a hard time trying to keep his bookmark in his book. It kept falling out as he was flipping through pages, and thus created a solution to a problem of paper, essentially sliding out, or essentially you had the advent of what we call the postage, a bunch of pieces of paper stuck together with low tack glue. So I think this is a really good example because 3M encourages innovation. They encourage free thought. They have an opportunity for all employees over time to actually bring their ideas to a circle and present their ideas. How simplistic they are or how advanced they are. They have the opportunity to bring that to the forefront. It's not, I develop something, I don't know if it's right or not, I'll give it to my supervisor, and then my supervisor will give it to his supervisor, and supervisor to supervisor. No, you go straight to a tech forum, and you're in front of everybody, all the leadership, and any employee is able to do this. I think that's a great culture. One, it's a culture that doesn't harp on failure. It encourages failure, because I think if you're not failing, you're not doing anything right. And two, it does encourage free thought.
100%. And free thought is what's gotten us everything, right?
Yeah.
It's that culmination of different ideas, and the potential of the failures. Somebody might have, the missing link to make the whole thing a success, and neither group would have gotten there without the other, right? I mean, that's the other big part, is you can bring others together to grow on, to build their failures into successes.
Right. And the final couple paragraphs here are beautiful. For proof in the pudding, the company 3M has over 20,000 patents with over 500 awarded in 2012 alone. Now you're telling me that doesn't come from one person, that comes from a group.
Yes.
It's not just one person doing that. In 2009, in the middle of a very tough economy, we all remember what 2009 was like, when other companies were slashing their R&D budgets to save money, 3M's managed to release over 1,000 new products. 3M's products are ubiquitous, though typically unnoticed and almost always taken for granted. If everyday products had a 3M inside sticker on them, like computers had an Intel sticker inside, the average customer would see that sticker 60 to 70 times per day.
Oh my gosh.
So 3M has succeeded not because they hired the best and the brightest, so I'm sure they probably do. They probably do hire some very qualified individuals. But that's not the reason why they're successful. They're successful because they have a corporate culture that encourages and rewards people for helping each other and sharing everything that they learn. Though 3M surely has its share of problems and bureaucracy, they work very hard to foster collaboration. I mean, that's right there, the proof in the pudding. I mean, in 2009, they weren't struggling, they were growing. And they have, 20,000 patents, which is ridiculous. That's an insane number.
It's unbelievable.
So, I think that's a great example. And I know it's, we're talking about 3M versus, a very small landscape company or a very small manufacturing company with a lot of SAR. But think about that. I mean, apply that type of mentality to what you do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we have to come up with a new and innovative way to make precast products or new and innovative way to install landscaping products, but again, it goes back to free thought. If you're not encouraging free thought and allowing your people to do their jobs the way that they see fit, I don't think you're going to succeed. I just don't. I don't think it's possible.
Well, it's about efficiencies, right? I know in the contracting side of it, a lot of times the owner and smaller groups, right? If it's a design build firm that's maybe an owner operator, you start out. It's a craftsmanship thing, and you start out, and you're used to doing it one way, and it's easy to get stuck in that when you're bringing on new people to say, nope, this is the way I do it because this is the way I've been doing it, and it's my company, right? But the ability to take all those different experiences of people that you're bringing in, new people that you're bringing in, and be able to craft, a different process or whatever it may be to increase efficiency or whatever it may be. I mean, that's huge. I mean, it's and for our companies, for contract, I mean, that's instant bottom line numbers. I mean, it doesn't take much in a slowdown of efficiency or a speed up of an efficiency to see some massive gains or losses on profit on a single job to a whole year. I mean, it speaks, you're like you said, it's tough. I mean, you look at 3M and, whatever they are, billions of dollars, whatever it is, and they can see it. I mean, it's going to be extremely magnifying in a smaller company, right? Because you just work with less margins. You don't have the cushions, I guess is the better way to put it. And to have that open, the guys out in the field every day that are experiencing how this is installed or how you're going to do this base or whatever, they're going to have great ideas because they don't necessarily want to. I'll be careful in this statement because I don't mean that they don't want to work, but they want to find an easier, more efficient way to do it. They want to get paid more if they can do more jobs. They, get a better bonus or whatever the case is. Yeah, I mean, open thinking and willingness to hear new ideas and new ways to do things in smaller businesses can be game changing.
Yeah, definitely. I think this chapter is summarized really well in that last sentence, and I put that on there. I think that's something that we should remember as we go through our journey here. Inside a circle of safety, when people trust and share their successes and failures, what they know and what they don't know, the result is innovation. It's just natural. And I think that is a very well said statement. If you have a good circle of safety, and then people are okay with sharing their successes and failures and what they know and what they don't know, the result is innovation. The result is a good, strong culture. I think too many times we get put into a position that we're afraid to bring forth what we think. We're afraid of looking stupid or foolish. We're afraid of what people are going to say. And I think that's a direct result of that circle of safety. If that circle of safety is strong and nurturing and encouraging, people are going to bring ideas. Some are going to be good, some are going to be bad. The end result, I think, is going to be innovation and moving forward.
Well, and that's a big thing, too. I mean, to be able to, it's easier to bring your successes forward, much harder to bring your failures forward. And I think if you've got a culture where leadership drives that, where leadership is open to say, here, we failed at this, and this is what we're going to try this to change it, opens up, everybody else going, you know what, yeah, hey, we tried this, it's not working, we got to come up with something else. I mean, that ability to do that opens everybody up, and again, the ability to openly share failures, I think, will breed success that much faster.
Yeah.
So what next week? Or not next week. I apologize. I am off next week. I am going to take the week off and hang out with my kids. So it'll be 2 weeks before we get back, I believe.
Yes, we're actually. I forgot to update this. I'm gonna do it right now. We're in the same type of mindset, but instead of so goes the culture, it is so goes the leader, so goes the culture. So we're diving, I think, a little bit further. I think we started at that 1,000-foot view, and now we're going to go to that 100-foot view and actually look at leadership and how it affects culture and how it affects change. So that's where we will be headed in 2 weeks, in the beginning of 2021.
Let's hope. Let's hope 2021 comes in all pretty and shiny.
We can hope.
That's right.
Make it much worse.
No, we're there. We just got to get through. Yeah, I don't even know what to say anymore. So awesome. Well, that does it for today. Everybody have a safe and enjoyable, relaxing holiday. We'll be back in 2021.
Yes, likewise. Have a very Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you all that have been joining us on this journey. I hope that we have brought you some knowledge, some expertise, and some commonalities that you see, and I look forward to continuing this journey in 2021.
And if nothing else, has been entertaining.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, Aaron. Thank you, sir.